It doesn't matter the task in front of Ryan Day as he leads the Buckeyes. They continue to win the offseason.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Thursday edition of Locked On Buckeyes here on Thursday, May 2nd in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. This is a pivotal offseason for Ohio State under Ryan Day's leadership. Ryan Day has done a lot of great things, a lot of phenomenal things, a lot of wonderful things. There's also been some things that have happened that left people wanting more, asking why is this happening over and over, or why was this the outcome of this game? And Ryan Day, as he leads Ohio State in 2024, has the right mindset, continues to make sure that the main thing is the main thing. And as he's leading the Buckeyes right now, the Buckeyes, Ryan Day, and the players wearing the scarlet and gray, they continue to win the offseason. Now, they're winning the offseason based on their own standards, not based on anybody else's standards, based on the standards that have been set at Ohio State. What have we seen Ryan Day do even during this second portal window? Be patient. The first portal window, what did you find? Hey, you need a new quarterback. Did they hop on the first thing that showed interest in Ohio State? No. What did he do? He showed patience. He was slow. He went through the process. And what do you get? You get Will Howard, a guy who you wanted. You got him here in Columbus. Now, there are guys like a Julian Sand and a Caleb Downs and a Seth McLaughlin. If you can get them from Alabama, from Tuscaloosa, after Nick Saban retires, you do it. Now, there's no patience there. If they're available and you are able to get them, you do it as quickly as you can. Now, with Caleb Downs, it's very interesting because he was one of those guys that was going through the enrollment process at Georgia. Ultimately, that enrollment process got ceased, and then he said, hey, I ain't going to be in Athens in the fall. I'm playing that Buckeye football under the leadership of Ryan Day. But then you also have guys like Will Kazmarek and others at Quinshon Judkins, guys that Ohio State was targeting, but they went slow. They did their process. And even currently right now, what do you find? Ohio State has 6 guys go into the transfer portal during the spring portal window. A couple of weeks instead of, I believe, the 40 or 45 days of the first portal window. But what do you find? They keep all of their key guys. Nobody in there too deep. And, okay, Enoch Wamahi might be in there too deep, but we all know Enoch Wamahi on the depth chart. It's more, hey, he's an older guy. He has not done anything to say, hey, he is going to do significant things in a key backup role for the Ohio State Buckeyes. He might be good in the fall, but that's a big might, because what we saw from Enoch Wamahi was not a lot of good things when he was thrust into that starting spotlight for a couple games during his 5-year Buckeye career. But Cedric Hawkins went to the transfer portal. Dallin Hayton went to the portal. Enoch Wamahi went to the portal. Jahad Carter went to the portal. Kyon Graves went to the portal. And Nigel Glover went to the portal. What are some things that you know about the guys that are here? They didn't play much Buckeye football. This is not me saying they are not good football players. This is not me saying that they won't do good things in the fall wherever they play the football. This is me simply saying the facts. They didn't play much Buckeye football. Now, the one name that we all see here that kind of is going to pop out at us is Dallin Hayton. But what did I mention earlier? The Buckeyes kept all of their key guys and didn't lose anybody in their 2 deep. Maybe Enoch Wamahi would have been in the 2 deep, but even then in the 2 deep, it's just out of necessity, not because he has truly been that guy to earn the spot. And if he has, that's a question mark about the Buckeyes' depth at offensive line. But Dallin Hayton is a loss. Even did an instant reaction show with Jeff Hunt, a frequent contributor to Locked On Buckeyes, about that. And that really wasn't planned. We were doing the portal, but then all of a sudden the news broke, and we had to talk about it because I do believe Dallin Hayton would have been a big piece of the running back rotation for Ohio State, but not one of the top 2 backs. This is big for the Buckeyes. And for the Buckeyes and Ryan Day to go on the late kick with Josh Payton and say, hey, not everybody is made to play at Ohio State. Not everybody has what it takes. There are people out there that have what it takes, but maybe physically have it in their game, but they don't have it in their mental makeup, or there are people out there that have it in their mental makeup, but their game isn't the right way for us. And Ryan Day is saying not everybody's going to make it here. Not everybody's going to play. And this is not me saying that the guys that left would not eventually play maybe in their last year of eligibility at Ohio State, but losing them now for a lot of them, for Kyon Graves and Nigel Glover and Jihad Carter, Cedric Hawkins, what are you doing? Dallin Hayden, what are you doing? They're gone. Yes, you want them to stay, but however, it's okay. It's good for them to go out there and try to find another place to play the football this year that is the right fit for them, but also it's good for the Buckeyes because you're getting some of those younger guys reps that have already jumped some of these guys that left on the depth chart. That is key. That is huge. And in a world where people all over the place said, hey, this spring portal window is going to be wild. The spring portal window is going to be one where coaches may be scratching their head and said, hey, I don't understand this. I don't like this, etc., etc. We didn't – okay, we'll say we. Ohio State didn't really see that this offseason during this particular spring portal window. Now, I personally sat here on the show over-under set at 5.5 Buckeyes to enter the portal during this window. Now, we did get over the 5.5. I heard another podcast, The Podcast Daily. Jeremy Birmingham does a phenomenal job of covering the recruiting at Ohio State. Ended up saying, hey, the over-under set at 7.5. Now, I thought that was a little high, but that was his number. I said, hey, 5.5, even look, 5.5, that's a big number. When you think about Ohio State and all the guys in the time of year where they're leaving, 5.5, and I thought, hey, maybe a few more than that would leave. And even then, if I had to go 7.5 at being a betting man, that would be a little too high for me. But Ryan Day, Carlos Lachlan, Chip Kelly, Jim Knowles, they all got to be feeling really good about themselves in the current makeup of this current Buckeye roster. Offensively, defensively, the two deep in almost every position is really, really, really strong. The strongest might be at secondary. Literally the strongest might. Now, a linebacker, that's still a question. Defensive line depth, I don't think it's a question based off what we hear about in practice. It's just getting some more game reps for those guys. But even then, Hero Canoe, as he gets more reps, will be a phenomenal piece. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the Scarlet and Gray in the fall. Offensive line depth is a problem, but as Mo Murphy said on this show, and I approve of the message that he said a few weeks ago, said, hey, I'm not pleased with the offensive line, but that's always a work in progress. So I'm going to trust the coaches to get that job done and to coach those guys in the right way, which is true. Something else to keep in mind about the offensive line at any school, not just at Ohio State. There are rules that regulate how much you can hit in practice in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, and training camp, but also during the season. Hitting during practice is probably at an all-time low based off the rules and regulations that are out there in the sport, which is not advantageous for expedited offensive line growth. What do offensive linemen need to do during practice? Hit. They got to hit. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They got to hit. And if you restrict how much they can hit in practice, you're going to get offensive line play that is not the best early on in the offseason or maybe even early in the regular season. However, Buckeyes continue to win the offseason. Ryan Day is doing a phenomenal job of leading this group, which makes me more excited to see and think about what the Buckeyes might do in the fall. Speaking of the Buckeyes winning the offseason, they also got some big news in the quarterback room recently. We'll talk about it next. This episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there is just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friend to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges, a ton, including their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events to help you win big, like massive multiplayers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on the YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Ohio State's quarterback room is one that on this show we talk about all the time, and also other people will talk about it around the country all the time because it's a very pivotal and important position, the most important position on a football team. Who your quarterback is big. Who your quarterback is going to be, it's one of those things we're always going to be looking at and analyzing in a very deep way. Well, Ohio State's quarterback room right now was one that even on this show, myself and other people that are frequent guest on the show said, hey, Ohio State's quarterback room, they're going to possibly lose one or two guys during the spring portal window. And that was one that was a little bit expected. Didn't happen at all. Aaron Nolan is still there. And I know a lot of people out there are saying, what's going on with Aaron Nolan? He just got on campus. My man just showed up in January, and people are wondering why his name is not in the competition to be starting quarterback in the fall. He's supposed to be a high school senior right now, not in school at Ohio State. Let that sink in the next time you think about, hey, why is Aaron Nolan's name not in the quarterback competition right now? Because he's a youngster. He's supposed to be in high school, enjoying the prom, enjoying all of those things that happen in high school during your senior year. Now, this is not me saying he didn't experience the prom, but he had to go back to school down in Georgia to experience that if he did. Come on, y'all. Put your thinking caps on. Buckeye fans are smart. Realize homie just got on campus, so he's not expected to be in the running to be a starting quarterback right now. But Julian's saying he just transferred in. I didn't expect him to leave at all, especially with him being a guy that is in the running to be a starting quarterback right now. Devon Brown stayed. Lincoln Keenhold stayed. Will Howard stayed. Didn't think he was going anywhere either. But that's big. However, it's big for talent. I believe a lot of these guys are talented, some more talented than others. I'm going to dive into. I will a little bit. Will Howard, the most experienced, if he's gone, Buckeyes have major question marks. If Will Howard ended up saying, hey, man, it ain't working out, I'm going to tap into that portal. I'm academically eligible, so I ain't got to worry about potentially not playing in the fall. How about to that portal and go somewhere else? Which he could do. NCAA approved unlimited transfers as long as you're academically eligible. I don't like the rule. I don't like the rule at all, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. So Howard could have left again. He did not think it's a very wise decision, but for Ohio State's quarterback room, very talented based on things we project players to do. But with them all here, all this is going to do is ramp up that quarterback competition, ramp up things in the summer, ramp up things in the fall. And it wouldn't shock me if a player ends up entering the portal in December that's currently on Ohio State's team. Why? Because they feel like, hey, I am not in the spot where I want to be with Ohio State right now. The best spot for me is going to be in the portal to go somewhere else. So be it. That's just the way the thing's going to be. I don't know what to expect from Devon Brown. The people I talk to that are not just Buckeye fans, but are really good analysts and also really good people that are just covering the sport of college football, a lot of people are saying Devon Brown is not going to be that guy. And I kind of lean toward not going to be good. Now, I won't say all the words that people say that to describe him. They're not the colorful four-letter words like some people may be thinking right now, but I'm not really sure what to think with Devon Brown right now. I think Devon Brown can be good, but has he done anything on the field in his limited sample size, very small sample size, that makes you think he's going to be special? That's it. Has he done anything to make you think he's going to be special? I think it's a valid question to ask. I think everyone should be asking that question right now about a lot of guys. And Many of you have watched the spring game this year. He did not play in the spring game a year ago. He was hurt, so Kyle McCord got the bulk of the snaps. I know him and Tristan Gebbia got the snaps. I don't know if they played 3 quarterbacks last year. I know they played at least 2. I'm sure they played a third. Not sure who it would have been. But Devon Brown's here when he was on the field a year ago, mainly in a short yardage run package for a quarterback. And I'm like, I don't know if this is the best situation for him to run the ball, because even him running the ball, he wasn't a better threat to run the ball than any of the running backs at Ohio State. And y'all know how hard I have been on Travion Henderson and to have seen the growth in Henderson's game right before our eyes. And so, no, this is not me saying me being very hard on Henderson. This is basically saying, hey, Henderson's gotten so much better, and he was even better as a freshman, a better runner than Devon Brown. So I'm like, even in some of the areas that Henderson needed to get better, I will still give Henderson the ball, Mike Williams the ball, a lot of Dallas Hayden the ball. A lot of these running backs, all the running backs the ball over Devon Brown, but I think some of this was what a lot of other coaches do, put the backup quarterback that they think can be athletic, put him in running obvious situations. So what? Keep him happy. Put the ball in his hands. And what happened? This is not a fault on Devon Brown. So I'm not trying to knock Devon Brown here and say, oh, this is his fault. No. Devon Brown got hurt during spring practice last year. It happens. Devon Brown got hurt in, I believe it was the Purdue game last year. It happens. Devon Brown got hurt in the Cotton Bowl last year. It happens. So he's had 3 injuries in what, less than a calendar year, less than 9 months span, had 3 injuries. So what is he doing right now? Not only trying to win a quarterback competition, but he's also trying to figure out how it is playing healthy football at Ohio State right now, doing it consistently. Why? Because last offseason he got hurt. Last season he got hurt twice. So he's doing a lot of things right now where he's trying to figure things out and get his body healthy, get his body right for the upcoming season. He's in the quarterback battle. I don't think he's going to win the job. I'm just being honest with you. I truly don't. But he has a dream to be a starting quarterback at Ohio State. There is still time for him to fulfill said dream. But he has to show us a lot more than he already has to make people believe he's a guy that's going to do it this year. Maybe next year. Maybe the year after. If it ain't this year, I don't think it's next year. I don't think it's the year after. Those younger guys are too talented. They'll continue to progress. They'll continue to get good. And just let you wait if Lincoln Kienholz, if things start to click for that young man, woo, let me tell you, he has the athleticism. He has the arm. Once you ring that thing in, and hey, this is the right read. Hey, this is how you make these throws. Hey, this is how you do X, Y, and Z. And once things start to click, buddy, we're going to be watching a guy. I'm hoping he stays at Ohio State. Watching a guy that's really athletic, slinging that rock all around the yard. Now, the wild card here is Julian Sayin. And I do think with Ryan Day saying that Sayin is in the mix to be the starting quarterback for Ohio State in the fall, that could be very similar to him saying players are flashing in practice, but they don't end up playing in the upcoming season. Or it could be very similar to him doing the Devon Brown, Kyle McCord thing, having 2 starting quarterbacks and multiple guys playing in a quarterback battle in the upcoming season. And then ultimately you pick a guy, I believe it was going into week 3 or week 4. Whichever one it is, or it could just simply be, no, he's in the mix. It could be the day 1 starter at Ohio State, which Mo Murphy said on this show. I didn't believe him, but he said it on this show. I am going to be curious to see and watch what happens with the quarterback room. Keeping everybody here at Ohio State is a big, big bonus, but it might cause more headaches for Ryan Day and Chip Kelly and the other offensive coaches, Brian Hartline, as he's in a leadership position on that side of the ball as well. And they try to figure out who should be QB1 in Columbus. The portal window has closed. That doesn't mean the Buckeyes are done trying to get guys that are currently in the portal. I think there are a couple positions they should target. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the tip-off, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, used from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. The one thing about the NBA playoffs is you just don't know. Once it gets to game 4, oh, going to game 5. Oh, nope, series not over. Going to game 6. You want to go to the game, but you want to find a place that has affordable tickets at the last minute. Gametime is that place. Now, they may not be as affordable as you would like, but it is the lowest price out there, the lowest price guarantee. In Gametime, one-stop shop, the best place to get last-minute tickets, especially during the NBA playoffs. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. We're all about trying to find ways for Ohio State to improve in season, out of season, in a portal window, outside of a portal window, in the high school recruiting, while recruiting the players that are in the transfer portal that are currently playing college football, while trying to go out there and dominate the NIL space, while trying to go out there and get all of the best coaches Ohio State can compile during a particular season. Ohio State is that place where, hey, we're analyzing them, and you want Ohio State. We want Ohio State to win everything. Everything. And when it comes to this time of year, yes, they're winning the offseason, but another way Ohio State can win the offseason is by targeting some particular and specific positions to make sure that you're improving the roster and finding guys that maybe you believe maybe they're not going to be guys that are contributors or starters this year, but you believe that, hey, during a process in the offseason, they can be contributors. They can be big pieces of the pie for the Ohio State Buckeyes in the future. A couple positions, and I do believe this is going to be one that's probably on your list if you were to list positions Ohio State should still keep in mind right now. I got 2. And only 2. Well, maybe 3, but that other one's going to be a little bit harder. I'll say 3. The first one is offensive line. The second one is linebacker. Those top 2 are interchangeable. The third one is tight end. I think quarterback, well, I'll say a fourth and running back, but the fourth running back has to be a very specific one, but also realize a lot of people are saying and believing that TC Coffey might be the guy that's RB3 for Ohio State. I'm not going that far, which is why the running back position is in that 4th spot. But it's kind of one of those like tight end running back. Do you want to trust the guys you recruited? Yes. However, if there's somebody out there that's already proven themselves a little bit and you believe, hey, you get them 1 year in a backup role as RB3, next year could be a full-time starter. Yes, it does. It might ruffle some feathers in the RB room, but what do you want to do? Ruffle feathers and lose? Ruffle feathers and win that natty? Let that sink in a little bit. However, I do understand that the thought process to not want to ruffle feathers because, well, that could be bad things for the locker room. So it's a very interesting situation for Ohio State. And bringing guys into the room right now. When it comes to the offensive line and linebacker positions, what do we have with the offensive line? We talk about it all the time, but this is a great time to get another reminder. You got Josh Simmons. You got Donovan Jackson. The left side of the line is not going to change. At center, I do believe the battle is between Hinsman and McLaughlin. I think it should be Hinsman, but here's the other issue. Fryer is better at guard, not at right tackle. McLaughlin might be better at guard than Fryer. However, is Fryer the best option for right tackle? Is it the right 5? Not the best 5, because the best 5 might not be the 5 I just mentioned. The best 5 might be somebody else. But how does Ohio State go about trying to find the best 5, as Ryan Day wants to do? You might need to go to the portal. Now, remember how I mentioned in the previous segment earlier in the show about how hitting in college is at an all-time low during practice, which does slow down the progression and the growth of offensive linemen. If you bring a guy in right now, it could be beginning of the year like it was for Josh Simmons. Now, it wasn't atrocious. A lot of people were dogging on Simmons and saying that he was just like a weak link to the offensive line. Go back and watch the film. One thing I did a year ago, went back and watched the Notre Dame game, and what did I realize? What I said on the show before the rewatch was not accurate after the rewatch, because the offensive line played a whole lot better in that game than I thought they did, and I think than a lot of other people thought they did. So, yes, I think that was game 4 of the season. So you got, okay, game 4, they're doing this. So what are you finding? They're progressing in a great way. However, if you still want to bring a guy in right now, let's say he has starting experience. Let's say he could fill that right tackle spot. Is Josh Fryer the guy? And if Josh Fryer is the guy, you got maybe 6 guys that you think at Ohio State can start. I firmly believe Hinzman should start at Ohio State this year. I have never been a person that's going to come on here and say Hinzman does not have what it takes. I think Hinzman got a bad reputation last year. Why? Because a lot of people were out here writing articles and saying things about Hinzman that were negative. Now, watch the film. I don't think he was a weak link like some people said, which is why right now he's in the competition at center. You bring in a guy from Alabama. I know it's Ohio State, but he won awards down there in the SEC. Of course you think he's going to start at Ohio State when Hinzman was not that guy to some people. No, I think Hinzman's getting better. I think Hinzman's going to prove a lot to a lot of people this year that, hey, don't be out here writing and saying those negative things about me. I'll prove it to you on the field that I have what it takes to be a starting center back-to-back years in the Scarlet and Gray. At linebacker, outside of Cody Simon, there's no experience at the linebacker position. Sonny Styles has experience as a safety and sometimes at the nickel corner, but not consistent experience at the linebacker position. So, yes, people believe CJ Hicks will be good. People believe Gabe Powers will be good. Nobody has concrete evidence about things that they did at Ohio State on a consistent basis that they have done and say, hey, this is what CJ Hicks is going to do in the fall based on things he's done in the Scarlet and Gray. Nobody has that. Nobody at all. Which is why you got the linebacker thing. Now, running back, tight end. Tight end's interesting. You just brought a guy in. You got G. Scott Jr., who you think may be in a backup role. But if you find somebody else out there that you think is going to be a better fit and can quickly pick up this offense, you got to pull the trigger. But also at running back, same thing. If you find somebody out there that has experience, that's comfortable being an RB3, that will be competing to be a starter next year, go do it. The portal is currently closed. Players cannot enter said portal. However, the Buckeyes can still snag guys that are in the portal. So it wouldn't shock me if Ohio State over the next week or 2 or maybe 3 started snagging guys out of the portal. Why? You have to. If you want a guy out there and you're targeting him and he's available, if there's mutual interest, you want him, he wants to come to you, everything lines up, all of the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. You just have to go out there and do it. Just make it happen. So, yes, there is still time for Ohio State. If they targeted a player, they want a player, there's still time for the Buckeyes to go out there and get players that are still in the portal, which is why the positions are what they are. It is what it is. You want to ride with the guys you got right now? There's some experience. There'll be growing pains in the beginning. If you want to go out there and get somebody else, there will be growing pains in the beginning. Growing pains are going to be there no matter what. Just got to decide what kind of growing pain you want to deal with. Did not think the show was going to end that way today, but that's the way the cookie crumbled. One thing I do believe, though, is that, well, the cookie crumbling is one thing that is in the favor of any people watching this show right now, because Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on the YouTube, and now it's also available on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. We all love sports. We all want all the sports. We all want it free. YouTube is free. We all have it on our smartphones and on our televisions. Well, now Locked On has had something for you. You can let bad boy go on continuously like we did with SportsCenter when we were kids. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. You can follow me on X at jstevens07. Send every single email to jstevens317@gmail.com. Locked On Buckeyes is complete. We're out of here. We'll see you next time.